Welcome to the Teachers Need Teachers podcast, where we help new and beginning teachers navigate through those crazy first years of teaching so you can maintain your sanity and personal life. Here's your host, Kim Lapre.
Welcome to the Teachers Need Teachers podcast, episode number 35. I'm your host, Kim Lapre, and this is the podcast for new and beginning teachers who don't want to just survive those first few years, but actually thrive. I'm really excited to have you come and join me today. It's a topic that has been sort of nagging and gnawing at me, and I really wanted to talk to you about this. I took it as a sign that I should probably do a podcast episode because maybe other people are feeling the same way that I am. So I'm going to give you guys a heads up that this podcast is a little bit off the cuff, and it's just me wanting to be really real with you and open up this discussion because, like I said, I think it's something that not only teachers experience, but especially teachers. Now, before I get into the episode, I wanted to ask you, my listeners, for a favor. I need you guys to help me out with something really important. So for some of my upcoming episodes, I'd love for you to contribute your voice and story to the podcast. Now, I know some people don't like to hear the sound of their voice, and that's why we always dreaded having ourselves recorded during our pre-service, time in college. But I really want to hear from you, my listeners. I absolutely love hearing your stories and positive messages about teaching and even your struggles. I just love to hear from you in general and try to help out whenever I can. So I'm asking you, my listeners, to answer some questions and leave me a message on Google voicemail. And what this does is it allows me to download that message and then I can put it in future podcast episodes. So I'd love to air them either as an entire episode with your feedback or maybe just like a snippet of it at some point during the episode. But I'd really love to hear from you and have other listeners share their experiences so that we can learn and celebrate each other. So here are the questions, and I'm going to put these in the show notes as well, so you don't have to sit there and take notes on them. All right, so the first question is your name. If you'd like to tell me, you can tell me also where you live and the school that you teach at and the grades and subjects that you teach. Also, one thing that you love about teaching. Next, what you're grateful for when it comes to school and teaching. Your most memorable holiday teacher present, if you've received one, or maybe if you've given one when you were a child. It could be a present that a teacher particularly loved or that you loved giving. Something that you look forward to in the new year and or a goal for next semester. And then your number one tip for surviving school in December. So I'd love it if you could answer these questions. Try to keep your response to a maximum of 3 minutes if you can. And, let's try to keep it positive. So if you notice, I didn't say what is your biggest frustration. And it's not that your frustrations and struggles don't matter. But at this time during the year, during the holidays, at the end of the semester, as we are making our way into winter break, I want to keep positive vibes, high energy so that we don't have to drag ourselves across the finish line. We actually are excited to go on break, and not because we're exhausted and tired, but because we are just so energized by how we ended the semester. And the reason why I wanted to do this as a Google voicemail is because it allows you to use your actual phone. So you're going to call the number and use your phone, and you'll be able to get the best sound that way, especially if you don't have like a podcaster's microphone like I do. So you just dial the number like you would, put the phone up to your ear. It's actually better to put the phone to your ear and talk into the phone microphone as opposed to your earbuds for this particular message to me. And then you can just leave your message with your answers on there. And so I'm going to put the number on the show notes, just like I said. I originally had a deadline of December 15, but considering that at the time of this podcast airing, it's Monday, December 10, so that it only gives you a week. So let's make it a couple weeks out. December 22nd. That way I can compile them and put them out in future episodes. So please, please, please participate. I would love to hear from you. I know that my other listeners would also love to hear from you. So let's share in this experience and help each other out, support each other.
I'm Jennifer Gonzalez from the Cult of Pedagogy podcast, a proud member of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to right now. The opinions expressed are those of the individual hosts. Make sure you check out all the other great podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com. And get ready, because the learning begins in 3, 2, 1...
So as I mentioned before, it's December and we're nearing the end of the semester. The holidays in general can bring up a lot of emotions for people. They can feel sadness if they've lost someone, or I have some colleagues who are really excited about the holidays and decorating, and it's their favorite time of year. And for other people, it can also trigger certain emotions that make them maybe like eat their sorrows away, or other things that aren't so healthy. And something for teachers is something very real, and it's burnout. And you might have read or heard about, teachers burning out and teacher tired and teacher overwhelm and teacher self-care, because at this time of year, it's so real. We feel like we've been working so hard since the beginning of the year, and we have to try to tie everything up in a neat box, a neat package. And it can be really stressful. For those of us that teach secondary, we probably have some kind of finals or end of course exam. And if you are at the elementary school level, a lot of times there's performances that you have to set up and prepare for and be part of, which, will take a lot of your time. And so it's just kind of this whirlwind until the end. And for me, I was talking to a colleague, and it's really weird because I told you guys before, I've been teaching for 17 years. But for the first time in a while, not first time ever, but for the first time in a while, I feel like I didn't do a very good job. I feel like I didn't teach enough this semester. And this is based on looking at my students' work, taking a peek at the end of course exam and thinking, wow, Kim, what did you cover? I don't think my students could answer half of the questions on the end of course exam. And I know that I covered it last year, and I'm thinking, what did I do differently this year than last year that made it so that I didn't get to everything that I should have gotten to? And there's that word should, because also at this time of year, we feel and hear a lot of the shoulds. I should have covered this more. I should have done that. I shouldn't have taken that sick day off or that, wellness day off. But in my mind, I'm kind of grappling with the fact that I feel like I've failed my students because I feel like they haven't grown as much as I've seen growth in past years. So that's something that I'm kind of having a hard time with, because I like to think of myself as a pretty good teacher. I mean, I have good classroom management. I have great rapport with my students. And I can't help but feel like I just didn't do enough. So that's the first thing that I have been struggling with. And if you've been struggling with that as well, I would love to hear from you. You can email me at kim@teachersneedteachers.com, and I pinky thumb promise I will reply to you. So here's another thing that I'm sort of struggling with right now is comparison-itis. I am on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. And in the show notes, I have all of my handles for that. And it's starting to become really overwhelming to go on social media. I just feel like I can't help but compare myself and think of all the things, again, with the shoulds, the things that I should be doing. So let's start with, for example, Instagram. So on Instagram, I follow a lot of other educators who are doing amazing things. And some of these educators are even super active on Teachers Pay Teachers. They have these beautiful worksheets and lessons that they create. And I feel, again, like I'm not doing enough. I feel like, why can't I make my worksheets look like that? Or why didn't I think of that? The way that they've broken down a concept. Or why are my graphic organizers so basic? And then I see a lot of them, like decorating their door, getting to the holiday spirit. And for me, I feel like, as I mentioned before, there's just so much to do. I don't have time to even think about incorporating the holidays into my teaching. And I feel like there's just so much more that I could do based on what these other teachers are doing in their classrooms. I feel like they're so much more inspirational and creative than I am. So it's been actually kind of hard for me to go on Instagram. There's some people that I've had to unfollow because it was just really starting to get difficult to see how creative and awesome everybody is. And I was no longer being inspired by Instagram. It was kind of giving me some anxiety and making me feel a little bit insecure and depressed. I don't know if you felt that way. I'm pretty secure in who I am. And I don't care if people make fun of me or if I look like a fool. But I was feeling pretty inadequate based on what I was seeing on Instagram. So I kind of had to back off on that and not follow as many people. And I know that it's also the gloss of Instagram, and people's teaching environments and lessons and classrooms aren't necessarily as perfect as they curate their Instagram feed to be. But still, it started to get to me. I'm not going to lie. Another place is Twitter. This one's tough because Twitter is more of an intellectual conversation, and I really love it. And I'm more of a lurker than a poster. And I follow some really awesome educators on there who are changing education. They're movers and shakers. They are thought leaders in our space. And I follow them so that they can inspire me. But again, the case of the shoulds, because I'm thinking, I should be doing more project-based learning. I should be giving more student choice. I should have students do Genius Hour. I should give students more power in the classroom. There's just a lot that I feel like I should do more of. I should do more civics education, more culturally responsive lessons. I should do more restorative practices. And it's hard when you already feel like you're working really, really hard all the time. And then you hear all these amazing things that people are also doing, either in Instagram or on Twitter. And it just makes you feel like you're not doing enough. And how am I not doing enough when I'm working my butt off all the time? So I still follow Twitter, and I love reading tweets from these thought leaders because they do make me think differently. They do have me question my prior thinking. I love that. I love reading something that makes me go, what? Wait, oh, maybe they're right. So I do appreciate Twitter, although I don't participate as much as I feel like I should. I would love to be in more Twitter chats next semester. I'd love to make the time to really get to know these people who I follow and admire on Twitter. And maybe I should start internalizing some of the things that they're talking about. There's only so much I feel like I can do, but at the same time, I feel like I should be doing more. Now, the one thing that I'm not questioning is whether or not I still want to teach. I still love teaching. Now, don't get me wrong, lately with the weather changing and it's darker in the morning, I have wanted to sleep in past my alarm. That's just normal. And I really didn't want to come back from break Thanksgiving break, because I really enjoyed time with family. But you guys, I love teaching. It has taken a lot of me to get to where I'm at, where I have good classroom management, and teaching is just, it feels easy when I'm teaching, if that makes sense. So the planning part and the grading part and all the other paperwork and stuff, that's okay. But when I'm in front of the classroom, or when I'm working in a small group or one-on-one with students, that's where the magic happens. I absolutely love it. And I'm willing to put up with all the other crap so that I could have those magic moments in the classroom. So I don't have any doubt that this is still what I'm supposed to be doing. Now, there were times when I'm like, I think it'd be really cool to own my own business so that I could set my hours and work when I want, wherever I want, meaning I could be location independent and set my own schedule. And you guys, I tried to start a business, actually. I tried to start a coaching and membership site that fell through. And I actually feel really weird saying that out loud because I didn't want to admit that it didn't work out for me. I tried really, really hard for a year, but I just couldn't get it off the ground. But then I always came back to the idea of, the thing is, Kim, you really love working with students. Yes, I love working with new teachers too, because I want to help them so that they stay in the game longer, so that they feel supported, they feel as energized about teaching as I do. But I really love working with my students. They light me up. They absolutely light me up when they walk in the door, and we just have a great time in the classroom. And actually, on a different episode, I am going to talk to you guys about how I established this rapport with my students and how I can have so much fun on pretty much a daily basis when I'm teaching. But that's a conversation for another day. I just want to let you know that despite the fact that I'm feeling a little bit weird about my situation, right? I can't think of a better word. I still really do love teaching. So if you're feeling what I'm feeling, you may be wondering, what is the solution to this? And, I'm probably going to tell myself to get over it. I'm going to look back and take a really good look at what I actually did teach the students this semester, look for signs of any type of improvement, and then map out my plan for second semester so that I can adjust accordingly. So if there was a skill that students should have had by now, and they don't, then I'm going to go ahead and spiral that into as many opportunities as I can for second semester. In terms of social media, I hope you guys don't give up on me because I'm not on it as much as I used to be. And it's not because I'm like snubbing people. It's just because it's really overwhelming for me. I don't really like social media to begin with. I'm not someone who likes to take a bunch of selfies and post them. I have to actually tell myself that I need to add a picture. It's not my jam. So in terms of social media, I still like to see my friends and family on there. And if you don't see me posting as much, don't worry. I'm still around. You can DM me or you can tweet me. And then we can get a conversation going. I just think that I need to focus on the things that I can change and the things that I can improve instead of lurking on social media and thinking about the things that, I should be doing based on what other people are doing. Easier said than done, but until I can kind of wrap my brain around where I need to be and stop feeling like I'm inadequate, I'm going to back off just a little bit. So if you're feeling something similar to what I've just discussed, or maybe you have some advice for me or some encouraging words, I would love to hear from you. You can email me at kim@teachersneedteachers.com. I already have conversations going with some of my listeners, and I really do reply to all emails because I love reaching out to other teachers. I love knowing what's going on in different parts of the country and the world. If you are listening overseas, I would love to hear from you too. And don't forget the Google voicemail, the questions that I asked you guys. Leave a message. Please, please, please. I would love, love, love to have you leave your listener feedback so I can put it in future episodes. I'm so excited about this. I'm really hoping that this is going to work, you guys. I'm pleading here that you help me out with this because I'm so excited. I can't even tell you. When this idea was birthed in my brain, I stopped what I was doing. If you go on the Teachers Need Teachers Facebook group that I have, I left a message. I'm kind of a wreck on there. I was just like, my hair is a mess. And I was like, I got to leave this message because I want people to participate and I want to hear from you guys. So I kind of put myself out there so that I could get this message to you. So please, 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 if you have, 5 minutes to answer these questions and a little voicemail, I would really, really appreciate that. You can find the questions in the show notes on whatever podcast player you're listening to, or you can also head over to teachersneedteachers.com/35. And before I leave, I don't know what you guys are listening on. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts, they now have that. Maybe you're listening on Stitcher. I use the Overcast app, but I also love listening to podcasts on Spotify. And so if you already use Spotify to listen to music, which I do, I'm always listening to different playlists and just listening to my favorite or new artists, then you can search up Teachers Need Teachers on there, and you can follow me on there and get all of the new episodes. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening to me be really vulnerable today, and I hope you have a fabulous week.
Thanks for listening to the Teachers Need Teachers podcast. Love this episode? Head over to Apple Podcast or Google Play to subscribe, rate, and leave a review.